Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Wednesday, November the 16th. It's We Talking About Sports. It's Justin and Roland, and boy, do we have a show for you guys today. A little bit of a clashing of the worlds, if you will. Justin has been running our college football show the past couple of weeks throughout the college football season, and we've been coming together weekly also for this NFL Look Ahead podcast that we're doing. But today, we're combining them and we're making them one. We're making children today. Pause. But we are becoming one today. Justin, how are you doing? Glad to
No,
see
I'm
you.
I'm doing good. Talking college football just makes me happy, man. So I'm excited about today's podcast. We're getting to merge both worlds. Normally it's me, Ron. Sometimes you come on for college football, and then Ron stays on with you for NFL Look Ahead. Ron's not available. He's in a transitional death situation at home. So me and Roland are holding him down. We said let's merge the pods. Let's scissor them together, if you will.
And let's get in the kitchen and let's start cooking. And what we've done today, like I said, we've combined our college show and we've combined the Look Ahead podcast. So we're going to be doing a little bit of looking at these rankings for the college football playoff that just came out last week. Justin's been giving us his rankings, so he's going to give us his thoughts on the rankings and what we have to look forward to for the rest of the season. And then we're going to pick right back up where we left off with NFL last week, and we're going to look ahead at the lines and maybe a couple of storylines here and there. But before we get into any of that, shout out to Edgar in the chat. Shout out to everybody that's watching so far. And definitely a big shout out to our partners here at Top Grade Physical Therapy in McAllen, Texas. And if you guys don't mind, just please stick around for this message.
Get in top grade shape with Top Grade Physical Therapy. Let Dr. Rufino Gutierrez and his team give you the manual therapy you need. Soft tissue massages, joint manipulation and mobilization, trigger point dry needling, cupping, plus much more. Visit Top Grade Therapy today, 2801 West Expressway 83, Suite 210 in McAllen, or call 956-854-4364. It's not physical therapy if it's not top grade. No.
Yes, it's not physical therapy if it's not top grade. Don't forget that, guys. If you need any sort of adjustments, you need something to be looked at, Top Grade Physical Therapy has you. It's a local person, a guy who went out at Texas State, studied, got his degree, and came back. Let's help the people helping the valley, guys.
Yep. Big shout out to Roofy. Thank you always for the support, and we're glad to show some support back. So definitely podcast listeners, if you guys, like Justin said, have a kink you need worked out, definitely go and check them out in McAllen, Texas. Address listed at the bottom. All right, well, let's get into it. Like I said, we're combining both worlds here. We're getting into some college football. There's a team ranked number 4 here. I don't know, Justin, if you want to just jump right into it, give us your thoughts on TCU and touch a little bit on the game this past weekend. Did it solidify them as number 1, or are you just looking at Texas like same old Texas?
Yeah, so 1 through 4 stays the same. TCU has Texas. They go into Austin, and this is Texas' biggest recruiting day of the year. They got Arch Manning. They got like 10 recruits. It's supposed to be, a blowout win for us. We're expecting highlights. We're expecting fireworks, and we give them 3 points on offense. That's not a good look for Texas, man. I hate it. Steve Sarkisian seemed like he's not the guy right now. Let's bring Tom Herman back at this point. I'm getting desperate over here. Mensa member Tom Herman. Let's get that dude back. He's going to be hired this year somewhere else. I'm still not sold on TCU, Roland. That does not sell me. I know what a program in Texas is, and I'm not a believer. TCU's gotten behind on so many games this year. They're lucky that we weren't better that night. I'm not a believer. I still think they can't. They have a very small gauntlet ahead of them. They got Iowa State, Baylor, and then the Big 12 championship left. I just think they fall somewhere along those lines. One of them has to give. I don't see them going out clean.
Okay, so you're still not buying TCU, and I get it. They've had a lot of close games, but much like a team that we're going to talk about in the professionals, they're winning these games.
Yes, they are.
They're winning the games. They're playing the competition that's in front of them. That's ranked competition at the time that they're playing them. What say you about TCU running the whole table, running the rest of the table, winning the Big 12 championship, there's no way Justin's leaving them out of the top 4. If you're the last vote in the committee and it's like, Justin, do you want to put undefeated TCU with the Big 12 championship, a boatload of top 25 victories? But hey, LSU just won that SEC championship. We're going to talk about LSU here in a little bit. But would you flip the two, or are you giving TCU their due respect for running the table? If
TCU runs the table, they win all their games. They won that many in the Big 12. I have to give them, tip of the hat. They're in. I would not take that away from them. Now, do I believe that they can beat 3 Michigan, 2 Ohio State, or 1 Georgia? Absolutely not. But that doesn't matter. I'm not going to start with the premise of, you know what, just because I don't believe they don't belong. They did what they needed to do, the schedule that they had. I still like the offseason schedule they had better than Michigan's. I'm going to put them in at 4.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm a little bit more on the TCU side than you. I also believe that they probably wouldn't stand a chance against Georgia, probably wouldn't stand a chance against Ohio State. But how are they not ranked above Michigan? Like, what has Michigan done in their resume so far that is more impressive than TCU other than being the name brand Michigan?
Penn State's all they got, Roland. Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn. UConn's looking like a better win for the offseason wins now that we've seen what Jim Mora's done with that program.
Facts.
But Penn State's their only ranked win. And that game was close for, 2 quarters at least before they finally broke away. And they did blow the doors off and beat them 41-17. But other than name value and recognition for the committee, Michigan should not be ahead of TCU.
What are your thoughts?
I still think Michigan's old school bully ball would beat down TCU. That's just my opinion.
Man, I see where you're coming from because they do play that bully ball versus a Big 12
Blake Corum
offense, everything.
Yeah.
But what part of you do you think that? And I'm glad Ben, shout out Ben. Ben is not here with us today, but he's here.
Very good points he's making.
He's asking, or he's saying it's going to sort itself out when they play Ohio State. Now, let me ask you another scenario. I'm Mr. Scenario guy today. That Big
I love
10
scenarios.
rivalry
I'm a narratives
game,
guy too.
38-35. Ohio State wins. Do you see a world where Michigan State stays around? I mean, Michigan stays around the top 4, maybe top 5, peeking their head around if it's a 38-35 game?
So that's where it gets interesting because do they drop to 4 or does a Tennessee get bumped up to 4 and then they get behind the line of LSU even? Let's say they get, they lose that game. That game happens before the SEC championship. Do they have to now drop behind LSU to start up the line again, back of the ladder? I don't know, Roland. I think Ohio State being at 2 might be afforded something like that where they don't have to go all the way to the back. But a Michigan, I'm not sure with the teams that they played, strength of schedule you look at, I don't know if they can afford a loss.
Okay, no, that's a good point. So you think that if Ohio State were on the other end of that 38-35, you think Ohio State could probably stick around?
I think they could hit that 4 just because they got the Notre Dame win. They got the same Penn State win. But, man, if you really think about it, Ohio State's strength of schedule is not that much better than Michigan's either. Penn State's both their best wins, and I think Michigan did theirs a little bit better.
And Ohio State also had that game where they pulled away from Northwestern at the end. I mean, what was it, 21-7?
That's a weather game. I mean, you're playing a 50 miles per hour wind. You're a passing team. A kicker couldn't kick a field goal that day without having the ball flare out.
There's another game also in there. Maybe it was the Penn State game that we're both talking about that they struggled.
It was the Penn State game because that game changed in the 4th quarter when that linebacker had 2 touchdowns and flipped 20-some points in a matter of less than 3 minutes.
Okay.
I can't say his name. He has like a Samoan last name.
Well, we've covered 4 through 2. We know Georgia's number 1. They're head and shoulders above everybody else. If barring anything crazy, they're pretty much in. Even if they were to lose maybe a close game in the SEC title game, I think they get that benefit of the doubt. Now, Justin, you said pre-pod. You want to spend some time talking about these guys on the outside looking in. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Tennessee?
I want to start 5, 6, and 7. We can start with Tennessee while you pull up the schedule. I'll let everybody know what it looks like. It's South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Tennessee is a team that is not going to have a chance to play for no SEC championship game this year. So all they got to do is win out, and they're going to be favorites against both teams. They are both away those games, but they should win out by all means. So Tennessee just has to sit on their hands, sit and just wait and see how it plays out, and hope one of these teams like a Michigan or a Ohio State or a TCU goes down so that they can get in. Because I don't think a Tennessee gets in over a Georgia when Georgia has the head-to-head win over them if somehow Georgia loses to LSU in the end.
Yeah, I have to agree with that take. If they run this table,
it's just sitting on their hands and playing the waiting game.
Yeah.
It's out of their reach. There's nothing they can do. There's no style points to be made. It's just math. X's and O's at this point, numbers, that's all it is.
What they can do is struggle against South Carolina or Vandy and shoot themselves in the foot, possibly.
That could happen.
Right? So, yeah. Number 6, LSU.
This is where it gets interesting. It's probably the hardest for LSU, in my opinion, to get in. They got UAB, should be a cupcake team to get ready for what they have at Texas A&M. LSU and Texas A&M, Texas A&M always finds a way to play LSU tough, and Texas A&M is down bad right now. They absolutely need a win. They need it more than anything. Jimbo's job would be on the line if it wasn't for that big buyout, so he's looking for a win. He needs to keep these recruits happy. That's a tough game. And then it doesn't get any easier because then you're going to have to go to a neutral site and play Georgia. And it's probably going to be in Atlanta. So you already know Georgia's going to have more than likely the fan situation there as well.
Yeah, I love the story for LSU. I love that they're able to turn it around. I love that Brian Kelly defeated Nick Saban in his first go-around at LSU when things were looking kind of bleak, especially after that 40-13 drubbing against Tennessee. Things were not looking good for that LSU squad, but they were able to turn it around. I love their story, but I don't see them beating Georgia. I just don't see it happening. I think they'll beat UAB. I think they'll beat A&M. I agree that there's a potential for an A&M last stand game, but there's also a chance that by that point, the locker room is completely lost. Yeah. You heard about the guys that were, smoking before the game or something like that a few weeks ago. This could be a bad situation, and they could just roll through A&M. But either way, I don't see them beating Georgia, and that's where the music stops for LSU. So out of these 3 teams, I think LSU probably has the least chance of making it.
Now, if they do find a way to beat Georgia, you got to think, even though they're 2 losses, they're going to get at least a 4 seed at minimum.
Because I can already see the conversation going. You got to throw out the Florida State loss because, it was the first game, transfer quarterback, new coach, just getting things going. Got to throw that one out the window. They do for,
And this is where it gets crazy, Roland, because that Tennessee loss was bad. They got it handed to them.
At home.
So what do you do with Tennessee? Tennessee beat them. What do you do with them? It gets a little trickier.
It does. And so I just want to go back to Tennessee real quick because I was going to say some of this, and it's always been like this, even since the BCS days, some of it matters when you lose.
Oh, yeah.
It matters completely.
Losing early is a lot easier than losing late.
Look at LSU here. They lost to Tennessee. They've given us 4 good performances since then, and that Tennessee loss is pretty much an afterthought. We're not gonna start bringing it up till we start nitpicking, who's 4, who's 5, and all of this stuff. Tennessee, on the other hand, although they lost to Georgia in Athens, I mean, come on, they weren't gonna win that game in Athens, 27-13, but they lost November 5th. So, and it wasn't the most impressive loss either.
It's what have you done for me lately in this playoff committee? It is.
All right. Well, speaking of what have you done for me lately, we're talking about a team in USC here that they're on a 3-game winning streak. They had a little hiccup against Utah, who, let's not forget, was the preseason Pac-12 favorite. What are your thoughts here with this USC squad, Justin?
Well, I think they're a decent squad. I think they had decent defense until that Utah game. And Utah went for that 2-pointer, wins the game, and they've got to get right. They're the second hardest schedule for me behind LSU because they got the UCLA Battle for LA showdown, and then they got Notre Dame, who's starting to roll now, starting to get wins. They're ranked again. Notre Dame does have some bad losses on the season, but it seems like they're getting it going behind the new coach. I think they're the second toughest schedule left. That's looking outside, looking in. Now, if they win the Pac-12, do you value the Pac-12 over the Big 12, or do you what do you do there if TCU runs the table there? Is USC looking with one loss sitting out? Pac-12 doesn't get in this year.
Yeah, they're not going to get in my eyes. If TCU is sitting there undefeated, whatever happens in front of them,
What
kind of
about, let's
leaves
say,
it.
Michigan loses to Ohio State? Can you fit a one-loss USC over a one-loss Michigan, or do you value Michigan more?
I would value the conference championship here from USC. It's just,
I would too, Roman.
I value the conference championship. I know it can be a little hypocritical sometimes when you start talking about putting in a 2-loss or an SEC team that might not win the title, but you gotta win your conference, right? If you're not a Bama or a Georgia that can sustain, losing that game because of how highly ranked they were prior to the season, but if they were to win against UCLA it's a home game for both these teams, but if they were to win at UCLA, beat Notre Dame, I would put them, like to your scenario, above Michigan. I'd put them above Michigan for sure.
I would too. Or even above Ohio State. That, I hate to say it, but if you win your conference, you should be in.
Yeah. All right, let me close this out real quick. If you guys will just bear with me, I just need to get out of this screen so I can pull back up the
Well,
ranking.
I believe that's it for us, Roland, as far as college football goes, right? And it's time to get to the NFL portion, look ahead at these betting lines that we like to look at every week.
It's time to get into the NFL. But before we get into the lines, we do have some storylines to go over, and some of these might hit a little close to home, so bear with me when the screen comes
I know
up.
where we're going. I don't like it.
I have a feeling a lot of our followers will not like it, but are the Pack back? You got to excuse me on this this caption here. This was left over from last week, but pretty much I'm asking, are the Green Bay Packers back? They were sitting at 3-5, I think, before this Cowboy, or 3-6 rather, before they played the Cowboys at home. Mike McCarthy's return to Green Bay. Everybody was dubbing the Cowboys as the side here, although Green Bay did take some money. Are you on the side that Green Bay is now, you can put them in the category of being back? They've turned the corner, per se. They've worked out their kinks from the early to mid-season, and now they're ready to roll. Or are you just thinking this was a last stand type of deal, and we can count them out?
Yeah, so after week 1, we had that podcast where we were putting panic or not panic. I was on the not panic side for Green Bay. I didn't think it was going to take this long for them to turn the corner. But for me, I think it was more of just Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, being the Cowboys' daddy. I think the Pack is back. I think he's found his new receiver. He has a connection. He found him, 3 times in the end zone? Christian Watson, I think the kid's name is. I think there's something there. I have a feeling the NFC North is not that far away as far as being winnable. I think it is a winnable division for them. I think the Pack's back. I feel like they're back. I feel like they turned the corner that game.
So this is 100% my bias and prejudice against the Green Bay Packers coming out. I'm going to say they're not back. I'm going to say that was a situational spot for them. They had their backs against the wall. They were playing their old coach. There was a bunch of drama going to this game from the past few weeks of Aaron Rodgers calling out everybody and their mother. And it was just one of those games. It was just a perfect scenario. The Cowboys came in as huge favorites. Like I said, Green Bay was taking money at home. It's just, and Justin, you alluded to it, Aaron Rodgers unfortunately owns the Dallas Cowboys. He's a part owner along with Jerry Jones somewhere along the line. And I gotta roll with my boy Ben here.
Part owner.
No shot that they're back. I don't think they're back. Now, do I think that they stand a chance tomorrow night against the Titans? I do, but I still don't think they're back. The question that I want to ask you now, and if you guys are in the comments here, let us know if you think the Pack are back. Justin and I think Ron are both saying that this was a miracle game for the Packers, or backs against the wall. Please, I think
everyone's on the fact that Pack's not back. I'm the only one buying in at this moment.
If anybody here sides with Justin, please let us know. So the man needs some support here. He's out on an island.
He can stand alone. I can handle the heat.
He can handle the heat. I like it. Are you worried about the Dallas Cowboys at all? With this, just real quick, because I want to look at the flip side on both of these.
I reference week 1 again, Roland, when we had that panic or Gucci segment. We were all panicked on the Cowboys. We were all out. I'm playing with house money. I didn't expect Cooper Rush to come in and win those games. I was already checked out of the season. So I already hit the lows to the lows for the season. Everything that happens positively is all good from here on out. So I'm not worried. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. The only thing that I'll say is I would just like to see more consistency from the offense. It moves and then it sputters and it goes on these bad streaks of just 3 and outs or what have you. But I was just looking at some commentary on Twitter, and there's this group of people, and not like specifically anybody named, but there's a contingency out there that believes Cooper Rush still gives the Cowboys a better chance. And I don't buy into that. I think the Cowboys were winning games with Cooper Rush because he was avoiding throwing interceptions, and we were getting extremely lucky with some penalties. So I still think Dak is our guy as far as, choosing between the two guys. But I don't know if the Cowboys will make much of a run with the way that, Dak's playing. Hopefully he turns the corner.
2 things for me. I do like the way the offenses was running again with Cooper Rush. I would like to see, a more run-based, run-heavy attack. I would like to see that back, controlling the clock. Ever since Dak came back, the pass attempts have gone up with good reason because he's the better thrower. Secondly, I am concerned with Michael Parsons. He didn't line up at edge rusher that many snaps this past game. He was lined up at linebacker more.
Yep, I saw that.
We know he had a groin injury. Is that any reason, or are we just attacking with a different scheme for the Green Bay Packer game? I just want, those answers for those questions. I need to know, is he healthy or not? Because our defense does revolve around him. He is the engine, the motor of that defense.
And we're gonna have another big test this week, and we'll talk about it more in the look ahead when we're looking at these lines with the Vikings. Another offense that has been humming. You are not alone. You are not alone. Although I don't know if it counts because he's a family member.
Yeah.
But Josh, he's backing you, and I think it counts because Josh knows what he's talking about. He's saying the Packer back. He's not worried about the Vikings and this NFC North division. I have a feeling that Ron is going to have something to say about this.
I do like Mark Choppa's comment because he might be the correct out of everything here. He says they might be back, but it's kind of late. They are 4 games behind the Vikings. So if they are back, it might be just a little too late.
Good point, Mark. Good point. Very late in the season to be turning the corner and to be working out these kinks and to finally have an offensive explosion like they did. Unfortunately, it happened against our boys, but we're going to have a chance to correct it against this team that we're going to talk about for a second straight week.
I love the photo.
Because of the photo that we got here. For those of you guys that are watching, this is Kirko Cousins here with his bling after a victory like 2 weeks ago, I think. I got to ask the question one more time. They've been winning all these close games. Justin, are you ready to stop asking this question and just call them a contender? Doesn't mean that they're going to win it, but are you just ready to call them a contender?
Oh, man, it's so hard to acknowledge Kirko Cousins as a contender, but I'm going to have to. They've established a pattern, which is not good for the playoffs. It's okay. You can get away with some of this in the regular season, but you can't do this in the playoffs. They were behind in that game. They were going to lose. They were going to pack it in. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, decides to give away the game twice. With the fumble in the end zone and then the interception or whatever he did afterwards, he found a way to lose it twice. Man, and they keep getting away with little wins, less than five every time. They're not blowing anybody out by any means. They lost to the Eagles in prime time. That's where it gets questionable because all these playoff games, if he doesn't get a daytime game and he gets a playoff game in prime time, I'm not believing in Kirko Cousins. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that they're contenders, right? I'm not going to call them a pretender. I think they're contenders. Something is to be said about finding a way to win the game. Justin, you said Josh Allen found a way to lose the game. The Vikings have been finding ways to win. You can't indict them for winning the game. I mean, yes, if they play a close game against the Bears or they play against a close game against the Lions, which they have already, and they find a way to win, you're going to, raise your eyebrow and think, hey, shouldn't this team, we know the Vikings are so much better than the Lions, and, why are they playing such close games? But I said it last week. The same team last year played these same close games and lost these same close games. So I put a lot of value on what Kevin O'Connell is doing as a coach. And like I said last week, there's something to be said about putting your team in the right situation to win the game. Sure, freak stuff happens where you're gifted a touchdown, like what Josh Allen did when he fumbled the kneel there at the end of the game, or whatever they were trying to do there at the goal line, probably trying to do a quarterback sneak to get some more room. The Vikings that capitalized and they won the game. So I'm not going to completely indict them for that. And I think if the regression was going to happen, they were going to start losing these games, I think it would have already happened already. Who knows? We've seen crazy streaks happen before, like with the Dolphins going like 0-7, then going 7-0 last year with Tua, or the year before, I can't remember. But I'm going to give the Vikings their credit. I'm going to call them contenders. I'm not going to call them favorites. I think they're contenders. They're live to win. They have an offense that can win games. They have a defense that is comparable. They're not going out and getting run all over every single week. So I like the Vikings as contenders, and I'm ready to take the slide down because I do think that this question should stop this week.
Yep. And I'm okay with that. I'm going to lean contenders, sort of, but I still have my little question marks, but there's a lot less question marks than there was last week.
Now, on the flip side of this, we talk about, finding ways to win. The Bills found a way to lose last week. Are you worried any about the Bills? Are you worried about Josh Allen leading the league in turnovers so far in the year with his somewhat reckless play? Or are you just thinking that, hey, he's a gunslinger. He's a guy who's going to take his chances. Sometimes the ball bounces a different way, doesn't go your way. Or are you looking back at what we pointed out in the preseason with these guys? They can't win close games. They find ways to lose these. Are you worried about the Bills, or you think they're still the team to beat?
Yeah, I would have to say that I am worried. If I had the over on them, I'd be a lot worried right now. Josh Allen, he's not a closer. He's not a closer. He starts strong. We saw him start strong against the Jets. We saw him find a way to lose here against the Vikings. We saw him lose last year against the Chiefs. The man can't close. I'm sorry. You have to be a little bit worried about that. He might be a regular season GOAT, but he's not closing these games. And that's something of concern. They do have a lot of the AFC East schedule ahead of them. They're currently third place in that division. And Dolphins are looking hot, and Jets they're dogs. They're dogs out there. So I think they're at best can look at second place. I don't see them winning out that division. So they might have to play. So the concern was about like some of these AFC East teams having to play in Buffalo come January. Yeah. Well, guess what? Buffalo might have to go play some of that Miami Heat. Who knows?
Dang. So you think that they're live to potentially lose this division?
They're what, a game behind or a game and a half behind right now?
Yeah, but to your point, let's pull it like we did with the.
I got their schedule if you need it.
Yeah, what's their schedule looking like?
So they got the Browns that should win against that game. They got the Lions who can beat just the Packers apparently. They got the Patriots. That's a divisional game. Jets divisional game. Dolphins divisional game. 3 divisional games that are going to be played tough because you need to win the division. Then you got Bears, Bengals, and then Patriots one more time. I
actually like that schedule for them. I like that they still have a chance to get back with their division against the Patriots, against the Jets, against the Dolphins, and correct some of those losses. And we saw them do it last year. I remember they lost to the Patriots.
And they got some injuries on defense, though, Roland. Yeah. They're not the same team that we saw, on paper preseason either.
That's true. I'm a little my worry meter for the Bills right now, if I were to rank it 1 through 10, is probably like around a 3 or a 4. And I would probably say 4 just because Josh Allen's turnovers, they do worry me a little bit.
Yeah.
I like a guy who wants to take the chance. I like a guy who's not afraid to, fit it in a tight, window. I don't want to finish my sentence, but those chances sometimes it could lead to, losing the game, just like it did here against the Vikings. So it's one of those things. You got to take the good with the bad when you're dealing with these gunslingers, or the bad with the good rather. But I'm not so worried about them. I think they're going to end up winning the division still. They'll still end up with that home field advantage, and they got themselves another matchup, I think, with the Chiefs, staring at them. All right, well, those were a few storylines we want to talk about. You guys in the comments, again, let us know what you think on this topic. Are the Vikings pretenders or contenders? Is Josh Allen a closer? As quoted by Justin Martinez, Josh Allen is not a closer.
Well, he hasn't shown us to be a closer.
Yeah.
Until he does, then I can take that off of him. But as of right now, he has to prove me otherwise.
Fair enough. Enough with the storylines, enough with what's happened in the past. And let's look forward, and let's look just till tomorrow, because we talked about this game already. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Titans versus Packers, Thursday night football. Titans travel to Green Bay. Green Bay off a big victory against the Cowboys that I say they're not back. Justin says they're back. So Justin, you're probably going to be putting the Packers in a play tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to buy the points. Again, I hate the spread at 3.5. I would have loved it at 3. So it's looking like a play that I'm gonna buy the points on. I am on the Packers tomorrow. I think the Tennessee Titans, I think they're a bad team with a winning record. I think they're a beneficiary of a good coach, but I don't believe that that's a good assembled team right now. And I don't believe them to be a real playoff team that will have a long push in the playoffs.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. There's no way that they should have the record that they have right now. They've won a lot of close games, just like the Vikings, but the way that they've been doing it has not been, I guess, as impressive in my eyes. Because I mean, the Vikings have been scoring points. The Titans have been winning games, against the Raiders
by 7, by 4,
21-17 against the Commanders, a game they probably should have lost. 17-10 against the Broncos, another game that was back and forth and very ugly.
A game they were down in too.
Yeah, a game they were down in. So the Titans, I'm not so hot on. Much like you, I'm not in love with this 3.5 point spread, but I might be willing to dabble maybe after buying a half a point or something, getting it down to 3. Any other games here on this first slate that you want to talk about that catches your eye?
Just looking at the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills, everything that we're hearing about this weather game being an issue, I'm going to have to go with the under. The under has moved to 41.5. I know you have it at 41 there. If I could get it even up to 42, I'm going to take it. But it's currently at 41.5. If it is going to be 6 feet of snow or something outrageous like that, from what I'm hearing from reports, you got to think it's going to be a slower moving game. And we're going to have the under hit there.
Yeah, they're saying that the snow that's going to occur here this weekend in Buffalo is going to be stuff of epic proportions. It's stuff like that they haven't seen before, or like in 100 years or something crazy.
Did Tim Smith say this?
I think it came straight from the words of Tim Smith, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the only dude I trust.
Reporting in Buffalo. But no, this weather is supposed to be crazy. Now that you mentioned the overs taking money, that is kind of surprising to me. Might want to do some buyback like you're talking about doing, maybe waiting for this line to creep up another point, then coming in and taking the under. Definitely like that angle. Might sound a little crazy. It's not a double-digit spread, but plus 8.5 for a team that likes to run the ball, for a weather game that we're expecting to have a potential low total. Plus 8.5 for a running Browns team going up against a defense that Justin is saying is struggling. They are struggling with injuries. They haven't looked their best. I mean, I can see the Browns keeping this at 8.5, or maybe being down 14 the whole game and finding a way to backdoor this at plus 8.5. I think that's a live play.
So, Roland, money is coming in on this game because now the line is at 8.
Oh, see, there you go. And they're getting that Deshaun Watson boost. They're saying that he's back at practice. So, morale's probably high. Things going on in Cleveland right now. So that plus 8.5, depending what you got, I think that's live. And just want to give some acknowledgement to what Ben's talking about here and some of these lines that we're looking at. And this was the one I was going to look at as well. Detroit Lions versus the New York Football Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites at home. We all know what the Lions just did against the Bears on the road, which a game that the Bears gave away.
Yes.
The Bears were up by 14 in the fourth. They gave that game away. The Lions had no business winning that game if it weren't for a late pick six and then some crazy stuff that happened. Good point, Ron. Any Lions game overs. I like the Giants too. I got to agree with Ben. They were in a similar spot against the Seahawks a few weeks ago, and they came up short. But I like the Giants in this spot. I don't see the Lions putting together back-to-back road performances. Are you willing to bet on the Lions doing that, Justin, or you like the Giants too?
It's the Detroit Lions at the end of the day. The Giants, they're not a bad team under Brian Dable. He seems to have that team believing. Saquon on the revenge tour. I think he's going to get some touchdowns this weekend too. So Giants at -3, I think that's a bargain. I think that's what you're looking for. Or you could play the money line and put that with something else. But I am looking at -3 for the Giants this weekend.
It sounds like that might be a pod bet. We don't usually do pod bets here, but I like -3. Justin, you like the -3. Ben likes the -3. Let's see if we can get some input from Ron to see if we can make this an official, pod bet and put this on our TikTok. Those of you guys who are watching, we have a TikTok now. We want to look at some plays. All right, let's move on to the next slate of games that we have here, getting into some of these afternoon games. A couple of notable games here. We're going to talk about the Cowboys and Vikings in a little bit. Chiefs at Chargers. That catches my eye a little bit just because are you willing to buy low on the Chargers right now at home? I say quotation marks because they play in LA and they don't have a home crowd there.
They never do.
Some buyback on the Chargers, potentially getting some pieces back. Mike Williams might make it back. Keenan Allen might make it back this week. Are you willing to, like I say, buy low on the Chargers here? Or are you staying away from this game or maybe even taking the Chiefs?
I would take the Chiefs, put them in with something else, maybe a teaser. I stay away from the Chargers. Yes, they're getting these guys back rolling, but they've been out for a while. And when a team has players that have been out for a while, it takes them a week or two to get used to the NFL speed of the game again. So just because they've been in practicing, warming up, doesn't mean they're ready right away. And I just don't think they'll be playmakers week one back in. I think there's going to take some time. Give them a week or two before I bet on the Chargers again.
And especially against the Chiefs in a spot like that. Division game. I mean,
Chiefs travel well. The fans travel
close, but yeah. It's probably a game that I might stay away or maybe look at Chiefs money line because I don't know if the Chargers, even if they get these guys back to your point, I don't know they'll be able to pull off this victory. Other game of note here, at least to me, Cincinnati Bengals -4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, another divisional game. Bengals on the road. They're battling the Ravens right now for the NFC North title. Steelers, do you see them having any fight here in covering this 4?
Man, the Steelers came off a win last week. The Bengals really need this win. They're fighting for the spot, like you said. I hate it at 4, though. Why can't we get these lines at 3 at least? You can't trust the Bengals at all this year either. They need to get right. They need to win. Give me the Bengals here. -4. Another thing I'm going to have to consider. Not sure if I like a spot specifically. Going to be looking at like first half lines, stuff like that. Maybe where I can fit maybe a first quarter line in. I don't love it at 4. It's not a spot I feel comfortable in.
Yeah, definitely tough spot for me. I don't see the Steelers winning this game. So I might look at, like you said, pairing the Bengals money line with something else, maybe doing a little square money line parlay. Now, we don't have to touch too much on these games. I'm just trying to make a little joke here. Good luck to anybody betting or watching any of those first 3 games for this on the screen. For those of you that are here watching with us, we got the Commanders on the road against the Texans. Texans catching 3.5 at home. Rams 3-point dogs in New Orleans without Matt Stafford potentially another week. And the Raiders on the road against the Broncos. Ugly games. Ugly. Do you want any part of those? I mean, just because they're ugly games doesn't mean you can't bet them. But is there anything that you might be willing to dabble in there?
I'm looking at the hottest team coming out of last week, the one who got the upset against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington Commanders. If I can buy the point on that, get to -3, I'm going to take that line. Especially since Heineke looks like he's going to be named quarterback for this week again. Wentz is saying he's not ready. I can't believe that's even a question at this point, the way that we've seen Heineke start to move this offense, because under Wentz, this offense was kind of stagnant, and now it's moving. They found a way to win in Philly. Very hard thing to do as of late. Mm-hmm. So if I can get the Commanders to 3, you bet your bottom dollar I'm betting that.
Wow. Okay. You and Ben here thinking on the same wavelength. The little Commanders and Giants parlay potential NFC East pairing there. For me, I'll probably stay away from that game, but I do agree with you. Heineke, the Commanders look a lot more live with Heineke at quarterback. I don't think he's better necessarily than Wentz, but I just think there's just something about Wentz that throws people off. Like, I'm not here to question anybody's character or anything like that, but it just seems to me that he can't get the locker room to rally around him.
That is it, Roland, because when you look at the difference, it's not that he has the skill set. It's that the boys want to play for him.
The boys play for him. Exactly. Yep. The boys want to play for him. The line wants to block harder. Antonio Gibson wants to go out and cash a little play for us. The boys play harder, like you said. Ron Rivera, you can tell Ron Rivera loves Taylor Heineke. I can tell he didn't even want to put any thought to putting Wentz in. They just had a formal meeting just out of formalities this morning to see if he was good to go. But Heineke's the guy there. It's unfortunate that he'll probably never be looked at as their guy long term, but for right now, he's their guy for sure. Rams Saints, probably staying away from that just because I'm not betting on Andy Dalton or Walford.
Cooper Kupp out now, so Rams' main offensive unit guy out.
And Raiders Broncos, not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Let's move on, though, to our last segment of the day. Take it or leave it. We've already talked about some of these games. First one on the slate here is Titans, 3.5-point underdogs against the Packers. Take it or leave it. Are you taking the Packers right now? Or are you waiting for them to, the line to shorten on them? Or are you taking the Titans right now before the line shortens at 3?
Well, Roland, I can't say the pack is back and not say take it right now. I have to, be a man of my word. I believe the pack being back. Gonna take that line right now at -3.5. I would have loved it, like Ron says, at -3, but he says I can't get that Vegas favoritism. But give me the Packers at -3.5. I have to sit behind that and I have to stand behind that.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a little bit of a hypocrite because I'm gonna take the Packers -3.5 here, just because I'm even more off of the Titans than I am the Packers. That's why this is a bad situation for me here, because I don't think the Packers are back, but I don't think the Titans are very good. And I can't see the Titans going into Green Bay unless it's just a heavy dosage of Derrick Henry, and we know the Packers can't stop the run after what Pollard did to them this past week. So, yeah, I'm gonna take the Packers here. Hold my breath and take the Packers. Next one on the list: Jets at Patriots. Jets catching +3.5. Pats are 3.5-point favorites. I'm guessing you're on the Jets here. Taking the Jets.
I believe the Jets should be should win. I just don't think I can find my spot and say, you know what, I like a play here. I'm going to leave this one. I'm not going to make a play on this game. I don't really. I'm still worried about the Bill Belichick's defense. He still gets it done over there. So, this is the must-win game. They're at the bottom of the AFC East. They need this win. I got to stay away.
Yeah, I'm probably staying away. I'm going to leave it completely just because of what you said. Bill Belichick owns Zach Wilson. He owns rookie or younger quarterbacks. It's very hard to get anything done against this defense when you're the younger quarterback. And the Patriots are the side taking money. Yeah. The line opened up Patriots -3, Jets +3. And Ron, you're right. We do have to choose something.
We choose to leave it.
Choose taking the Jets right now. I'm taking the Jets +3.5 before some money comes. That's an expensive 3.5, so that could be +3 at some point.
So. Ron says make a decision. I thought the segment is take it or leave it.
True.
I have the option to leave it here.
That's true.
My decision was made.
Well, we're gonna have to look at the fine print here, the rules of the game, but I do think you're right, Justin. You can leave it. Don't have to do anything here with this line. But I have a feeling you're gonna want to do something here with this last one, and this is what we're gonna sign off with. Dallas Cowboys 1.5 point favorites in Minnesota. Traveling off of a loss, second week on the road, and they're still favorites. Justin, what are you doing here?
I'm looking to last year, and I'm thinking Cooper Rush. Wasn't it on the road against Minnesota as well?
Yep.
He got the win.
Cooper
this
Rush
year, we're going to do with Dak. I'm going to take the Cowboys, and it's at -1.5. I'm going to raise the line even. I'm going to take it at 2.5 if I have to. Cowboys by 3. And the game's on the 20th, right? I think it's is it this Sunday?
Yes,
game?
It's this Sunday.
Is it the Sunday night game? Because I was looking at that schedule and I think it might be.
Did they get flexed?
I think nope, 325.
Yeah.
Vikings, Cowboys. Give me Cowboys. I'm gonna move the line to get more points. Give it to me at 3.
I'll take the Cowboys too. I'm taking them on a bounce back week off of a loss. I don't think what we saw last week was a true showing for the defense. I think the defense is going to have a good bounce back game. It does worry me going up into Minnesota, and it might even worry me a little bit more now that you mentioned that we beat them last year in Minnesota. There might be a little revenge factor there to look forward to, but give me the Cowboys in a bounce back spot. I think if they won their game last week, this line, they might be 3-point favorites already. I do want to say they did open up as 2-point favorites, and it has already shrunk to Dallas -1.5. So Minnesota might be catching money because they do have one of the best home field advantages. So something you got to see there. Ron is all over the Vikings this week, as you guys can tell in the comments.
He's already switched teams. He's forgotten about the Cowboys. He's now forgotten about the Bengals, and now he's on the Vikings. He's a Vikings fan as of this week. And Cowboys at +3 rolling, +110. Book it for me. That's what I'm gonna take.
Kirko Bangs is his new guy. He moved on, like you said, from Dak was his quarterback to what was the other guy? Joey in the pocket like Burrow.
The pocket like Burrow.
There you go. And now it's Kirko Bangs. So we even forgot he had some Baker Mayfield love last year.
There it is.
Yeah, he had some Baker Mayfield love. We don't forget. Die Easy fan. That's a good one right there, Mark. Not hard to get Ron off the side. Maybe it's what he's trying to say. They're all having good fun. But Justin, anything else you want to touch on here before we sign off? We got our socials here for everybody that's still watching. We did do our first merchandise drop, if you will, or our first, we put a t-shirt out there and it's been received pretty well so far. So, thank you to everybody, friends and family that's been, pitching in and asking for a shirt. Justin, do we still got any?
We are down to, I think, 11 tees left after the ones we made. Some sizes we've already sold out the full run. So you can't get a medium. If you're a medium anymore, they're out. If you're an extra large, there might be one left, I think. But yeah, we're doing a good job. They're flying off the shelves as Ron was hoping for, and I think our size that we do have a lot left in is 2XL. I think that's still available.
All right, so if you guys wear 2XL, we want like a pajama shirt maybe or something.
A 90.
Yeah, go ahead and hit us up. We still have some shirts, and definitely going to be something that we're going to want to do again. Maybe a shirt in a different color, maybe a long sleeve or a hoodie for the winter, or even a ball cap. Definitely something that we're thinking about. But none of this would be possible if it were not for our followers and our listeners, and the people who support us on a daily and weekly basis as we put out these podcasts. But that's it for me. I don't have anything else to talk about today. If that can be believed, because there is college football, there is college basketball going on right now. A lot of stuff. I do want to mention. Actually, I lied. I do have one more thing to say. We got to add TikTok to our social media presence. We have a TikTok. So if you guys aren't into Instagram, aren't into Facebook, We have started, getting back into TikTok a little bit more. We've been posting some plays pretty much on a daily basis. On Monday, we posted Antonio Gibson over 34.5 rushing yards that cashed, and then a couple of other plays. And I think we posted Texas a money line against Gonzaga for tonight in big college basketball matchup. I know that's what Justin's trying to log off for to go and watch and get ready to see his Longhorns take on the Zags at home. Mark, you want to know? Justin has an answer for you. What are you on tomorrow, Justin?
I think he's asking if we're on the podcast tomorrow.
Oh, my bad.
I'm not sure. Maybe we can do something right before the NFL game starts, but I'm not 100% sure. We don't have anything planned. Roland, college basketball being back, I think that's something we're going to have to do, especially you who's watching a lot of these mid-major games. I got to ask you, though, right now, North Carolina's ranked number 1, Roland, but to me, the eye test says they shouldn't be 1. They don't look like 1 to me.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't be 1. They struggled a little bit last night with Gardner-Webb, probably a game that they were favored by, 20, 22 points, but It's just one of those things. I say it primarily with college basketball, you cannot put a lot of weight into the preseason rankings. College basketball is probably one of the worst sports when it comes to preseason rankings, where you'll see a team with a 3 or a 4 by their name early on in the year, and that will be gone mid-year or even before then, just because they're so highly ranked off of what they did last year, who they have coming back, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So hopefully that's not the case for North Carolina, because I do like Caleb Love. I think that's the guy's name. Is a very talented player, one of the favorites to win the National Player of the Year, but definitely looking forward to this Texas and Gonzaga game. No Chet Holmgren for Gonzaga, so big adjustment for them. And Texas, again, did work in the transfer portal. So we'll see what these boys have to offer in the Moody Center. First big game in the new Moody Center. So should be a hype atmosphere. Definitely need to get myself over to a game over there and check one of those out. But yeah, that's it for me. Justin, you said it. We're going to be putting together some basketball content, NBA, NCAA basketball. I know you've avoided talking about NBA because of how your Lakers have been doing and what's been going on with LeBron and the whole, drama that keeps on unfolding over there. But we're going to have to uncover it.
A few games in, Roland, and we've already been eliminated for best season, regular season win total ever. We're at 11 losses already, so 73-9 is out of the picture.
Not going to happen. And I saw some news too that even if you guys have a bad season, your pick is going to be flipped to New Orleans because of the Anthony Davis trade.
The Pels get our pick, and it's statistically looking like they may have the number 1 pick.
Yeah,
Victor Wembanyama, say hello to New Orleans.
And Mark, you brought it up too, man. We can stay here talking forever. We are going to have to sign off here in the next 30 seconds, but World Cup is coming. We got a game on Sunday. We're going to get to you guys about the World Cup at some point. We're going to have something planned. That might be the next thing that we talk about here on the podcast. It's a World Cup because we're all in. Justin and I have been talking offline about who we like in each of these groups, and Diego's here. He has some opinions on who he likes, and he's in the weeds way more than we are when it comes to soccer, and he knows these lineups like the back of his hand. So definitely want to hear what he has to say on some of these games and matchups. And we're gonna get to the World Cup for sure. We got Wales and USA kicking off November 21st. I think that's a Monday, so definitely not getting any work done. Bosses, if you're listening right now, watching, you didn't hear what I just said, but it's been fun. Justin, been a great time here with you this evening.
As always.
I think we've had a good show. Looking forward to talking to you guys next time, and thank you guys always for the support. But that's been it, and that's the Wednesday night show.
Peace.
Just looking for the out.